If you're waiting for the perfect time to buy in the Middletown, Connecticut real estate market in 2026, you might be making a six-figure mistake without even realizing it. And I don't say that lightly because what I'm seeing right now is a gap between what people think is happening in the market and what's actually happening on that ground. And the gap, that's where people either win or lose really big. So here's the problem. Everyone has an opinion right now. You've probably heard some version of just wait, rates are going to drop, or prices are going to come down, or next year it will be better. And listen, it all sounds logical, it sounds safe, and it feels like the smartest move. But here's what I can tell you from being in this market every single day. The people that are waiting, they're stuck in analysis mode. And the people taking action, they're making strategic moves that they are putting them ahead. So instead of guessing, let's break down what's actually happening in Middletown and Middlesex County right now and what it means for you if you think about buying. First is inventory. This is the foundation of everything. And right now, we are still dealing with a major supply issue. There are simply not enough homes for the number of buyers who want to be here in Connecticut. And that's not just a headline, it's what we're seeing week in, week out. I had a listing recently, high $500,000 range, very typical 4-bedroom colonial, the Westfield section of Middletown. We listed on a Friday. By the end of the weekend, we had 15 private showings, 20 people through a 2-hour open house, multiple offers, all well over asking. So that's not a fluke, that's the demand. And when people say I'll wait until there's more inventory, I always ask, what if that doesn't come the way you think it will? Because right now, anything that is priced correctly and shows well is moving really, really fast. So let's talk about that interest rate issue, because this is where a lot of people are getting stuck. Yes, rates are higher than they were a few years ago. Nobody's going to be arguing that. But here's what most people are missing. Rates are just one piece of the equation. What actually matters is your strategy. So let me give you another real world example. Let's say that you're buying a home at price point of $800,000. You ask for a $20,000 price reduction. That might save you around $150,000 a month. But if you take that same $20,000 and use it as a seller credit to buy down your interest rate, you could be saving $700, $800, or even more per month, depending on the structure. So it's a completely different outcome. And that's what I mean by strategy. Smart buyers right now, they're negotiating seller credits, structuring deals, creatively, using the current market conditions to their advantage. Because here's the truth. You can refinance your rate later. You cannot renegotiate the price after you buy. Now let's address the big question, which is, are prices going to drop? Because this is the headline that everybody's been waiting for, and here's what I'm seeing in this area. Prices are not crashing. Here's what we are seeing. There's stability in many price ranges, there's slight appreciation in others, and homes that are overpriced, they are sitting longer, and that's the shift. The market is no longer forgiving for bad pricing, but it is still rewarding homes that are positioned correctly. So if you're waiting for a dramatic price drop across the board, you may be waiting for something that just isn't going to happen in this local market. Okay, the topic of timing, because this is where people get tripped up the most. Trying to time the market perfectly sounds like a great idea, but in reality, it's almost impossible to execute because you're trying to predict interest rates, inventory, buyer demand, economic shifts, war, all at once. And even if you're right about one of those, you have to be right about the others as well. So what matters more is not perfect timing, it's making the right move for your situation, your finances, your timeline, and your long-term plan. And that's what actually determines whether buying is a good decision for you or not. So what do we call the opportunity window? And here's the part that I think is actually the most important. Right now, we're in a window that I will call a quiet opportunity. It's not the chaos of 2021 or 2022. You are not always competing with 20 offers on every single property, but buyer demand is still really strong and the market isn't collapsing either. So that creates this middle ground where buyers are prepared, they're educated, can actually negotiate, can actually think, can actually make decisions without panic. And that window is not staying open forever, because when those prices do drop, what do you think happens? More buyers are entering the market, and then there's more competition, and then there's more pressure on all those prices. So I recently had a buyer who was in this exact position. They were hesitant. They kept saying, maybe we should wait. Rates felt high. The market felt uncertain. When we sat down, we walked through it, and I asked them one simple question. What happens if prices go up 3 to 5% while you're waiting? And that's when it clicked. They realized waiting wasn't neutral. Waiting actually has a cost. So they moved forward and we negotiated seller credits. We structured the deal in their favor. And they secured a loan that they'll out. So fast forward a few months, that same price range, we had more competition and fewer options. Waiting would have cost them more than acting actually did. On the flip side, I've seen buyers who've waited, upwards of 6 months, thinking that they were going to time it perfectly. What happened? The prices did not drop the way they expected. Rates didn't move enough to make a difference. You're talking maybe 0.5%. And now they're buying in a slightly higher price environment with more competition. They had the same goal, but a different outcome, all because of timing. So if you're sitting there thinking, should I buy now or should I wait? The answer isn't a one-size-fits-all, but it is something that you should have a clear strategy around. No guesswork, no headlines, not what your neighbor said, but a real plan, very specific to you. So if you're thinking about buying in Middletown or anywhere in Middlesex County, comment home below or reach out to me directly, and we'll map out exactly what makes sense for your situation. And if you want more breakdowns like this, real data, real strategy, and what's actually happening locally, make sure that you subscribe. Because this market, it is not slowing down. And the people who understand it are the ones who win. I'm Devin with Dave Jones Realty, where we do everything but the packing.